The former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello and two others, Shuaibu, Oricha and Abdulsalam Hudu, are facing 16 counts brought against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Justice Maryanne Anenih of the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja today ordered the remand of the former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The judge also adjourned until December 10, 2024 to rule on his bail application. Bello, along with the two co-defendants, were arraigned on a 16-count charge brought by the EFCC. The charges involve the alleged criminal breach of trust totaling about 110.4 billion naira. All three defendants pleaded not guilty to the charges. Well, joining me on the program at this time to discuss this is legal practitioner Qudus Alalafia. He joins virtually. Thank you for your time, Qudus.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Nigerians.
Good evening. Great. Let's start off with the journey to what eventually broke out yesterday and continued today. We know that months back, the EFCC did declare the governor wanted. It went public, it was viral, and then a lot of drama happened in between. At some point, it was alleged that there was an attempt to pick him up, but there was resistance. And then at some point again, he went there, but was never arrested, came back, and right now, we saw what happened yesterday. He was eventually detained, even though he presented himself. I mean, a lot has happened in between. So I would just like your take on this journey and what we are eventually seeing. Is justice beginning to take some shape here in any way?
Yes. Let me start with a fantastic yes. The action of the former governor is quite unfortunate. It's an attempt to put the whole system into mockery. Of course, by our laws, once security agencies, prosecuting agencies, once they write to you or they beckon on you, by law, you are meant to take heed. You are meant to answer. So hiding from all this while they're going all the way from the Kogi State High Court to Federal High Court to High Court of FCT to Court of Appeal to Supreme Court until Supreme Court now ruled, decided in favor of the EFCC and other corrupt and other agencies against corruptions, until the Supreme Court now ruled in their favor. That is when the former governor now, have to now heed to the initial to the initial invite. The thing is, our leaders, particularly our political leaders, should learn to protect the system they have once led. The former governor was the head of a state, the head of a state in Nigeria, and it is expected of him to have done more, to have shown more respect to the system, because as at the time he was the governor, if he also has some level of executive powers here and there, I wouldn't want anybody to have put that into jeopardy. They attempt to institute an action at the Federal High Court with respect to questioning the laws establishing EFCC and what have you. Had it been the Supreme Court had yielded in that way, it could have been a very strong catastrophe in Nigeria. Because what the former governor attempted to do was to uproot the entire EFCC and all other agencies in that regard, which I personally...
we would even come to that, because for some Nigerians, they felt that, questioning the legality around the existence of agencies like the EFCC, and saying that their establishment should be constitutionally verified. For some Nigerians, they said, you know what? Maybe it's about time. Maybe it would even serve as some sort of checks and balances for the excesses of agencies like that. While for others, just like what you're saying, they felt maybe it's an avenue to sort of scuttle the process of justice, such that eventually, should the Supreme Court, in your word, should it have alluded in any way to their plea, then maybe the story of the case might have been different. But let's go on screen right now. Looking at the demeanor, the body language of Yahaya Bello, even at the court premises, just like we saw, a while ago on the screen. You don't see a man that is under pressure. You don't see a man that is, intimidated. He doesn't seem to be worried in any way. He's smiling all the way, shaking hands, waving. He's a jolly good fellow. If you look at it by our way, you can even see him raising his hand and greeting people and all of that. Does this show us anything we are not aware? Could this just be some film trick for Nigerians that, let's just follow due process so that people would say that we went to court?
Okay, thank you very much. Ordinarily, I wouldn't want to comment on his demeanor, on his expression. He has absolute rights as to how he wants to express himself in courts and outside the courts. In fact, it also supports the system in such a way that by the time you are within the custody of the security agencies, either the Nigerian police, EFCC, NDLEA, or what have you, the demeanor, the body language of Yahaya Bello being calm should be what ordinary Nigerian should be able to exhibit as well. Because it is when the entire system is tightened against you, that's when you feel threatened.
So you are saying being calm. You are saying being calm is actually fine. We are looking at allegation of over 100 billion naira here.
No, it shouldn't. I know. But by law, he's still presumed innocent. So ordinarily, we are not expecting him to feel jittery or whatsoever. But what we are saying is that the time or the period within which he questioned the legality of the EFCC and what have you, if you look at it, is a bad time. In fact, in law, we call it a malice. Why is it that it is when they are calling you to come and answer questions? That's when you know that you need to question their legality. When you were there as a former governor, when you were there as a sitting governor, you did not. I didn't mean when he was a governor, then all these things are reason. No problem. Nobody would have raised any eyebrow. But what we are saying in essence is that this period is a wrong period for him to have questioned their legality. And we give the Supreme Court the kudos to have reinstated the core essence of the establishment of the EFCC.
Okay, I really assert to what you have said, but I'm still going to go back to the body language because, for many Nigerians, they would feel that for you to be on the run all this while, presumably on the run, and then looking at the quantum allegation here, and then we see a man who shows up in court, a jolly good fellow. For many, they will say it's a true reflection of our judicial system. For some, they might even say it's a reflection of a broken system. Because if this was China, for instance, or some of those countries where, as a public officer, once allegations like this come up, you can already see the body language of such a public officer, jiltry, and he just wants all of this to go away, and he wants to know his fate. But, looking at what we are seeing on the screen, we see a man who just walks in, strolls in, greeting everyone, jolly good fellow. I wish that could come on screen again. Does this in any way reflect the type of leaders we have in Nigeria?
Okay. The question is, to me, is a bit going towards behavioral justification, whether or not the way he appears to be calm shows the gravity of the offense he is alleged to have committed and also his antecedents before coming to the court. But you see, if you look at the provision of the Constitution, particularly Section 36, which borders on issue of fair hearing, the way and manner he behaves, I do not want to read meaning to it because I'm a lawyer. I am meant to study what the law says and look at it in pari passu with what is happening in court. You see, if you look at the provision of Section 36, like I said earlier, he said you should give a defendant, an accused person, an unfettered access to justice. Now, when we say unfettered access, that means if you are coming into the court, you do not handcuff him, you do not rough handle him, even if the person is still in your custody. That is what the law says. And that is exactly what is happening in court. But I understand your thoughts, and I'm going to answer it. You see, it appeared in Nigeria, that the law only works when the people in power, when the people when people with affluence, rich, when people that are rich, when they are the one in custody or when they are the one the system has put under consideration, it appears to work. But it is quite different to when you see an ordinary man on the streets being picked up by all the security agencies, prosecuting agencies, and you see them dragging them to the court. That is the irony of our system. But like I said, the true picture of what you have seen in court that Yahaya Bello is exhibiting, that is exactly every defendant, regardless of their offense or the allegation on him or against him, regardless, that is exactly the way he ought to behave. That's the way he ought to feel. You greet everybody, you do everything you need to do. And of course, the trial proceeds.
All right.
This will be my own.
All right. Let's move away from that, and let's also look at what some of these charges that have been brought against the former governor. Of course, we know that about 101.4 billion naira, allegation, and quite a number of other trumped-up charges. From a legal standpoint, he has pleaded not guilty. He's not just alone. He has like two other co-defendants who have pleaded not guilty. Now, looking at it in the eyes of the law, what are their chances?
Yes, the first thing I want us to realize is that the court is also part of the society. And so whatever whatever your behavior, your conduct before the court, at one point or the other, the court takes judicial notice of it. So I will say, based on the chances, first one is that Yahaya Bello has presented, based on his antecedents running from here, from pillar to post, hiding and all what have you, he has presented himself to the courts in a manner which it is in the best, the court is in the best position to say, oh, this is the way I view his conduct before coming to the court. That's the first one. The second one is that based on the available evidence, based on the available documents, if the prosecuting counsel, if they do their work very well, one of the easiest, or let me say, one of the offenses that it is quite easy to prosecute in courts are financial crimes.
You said it's easy to prosecute in court, financial crime.
Financial crimes, yes, that's one of the most easiest,
Why is it easy?
Offense to prosecute, because once you send money out, there must be a sender and there must be a receiver. And if there is a nexus between the offense charged with and the intention of the money transferred, the case is established. So, like I said, you know, we will not be here arguing the case.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that one of the easiest way of prosecuting crimes are what do you call it? Are financial crimes. It's very easy to prove.
All right.
Save and except
Qudus.
everyone does what they need to do.
All right, Qudus. I'm told that we need to go on a quick break. When we return, we will definitely pick up. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. And of course, I still have my guest with me, Qudus Alalafia, as a legal practitioner. We're looking at the EFCC versus Yahaya Bello. We know that today, the court hearing or the court proceedings of the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, did commence, and he has been remanded in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission till December 10th, when, of course, the judge did adjourn the hearing. Let me come back to you, Qudus. Now, let's broaden the conversation on how the activities of the EFCC over time, if at all, you know, has had any impact on the quality of leadership in Nigeria. This is not the first leader we are seeing being charged by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, you know, over financial offenses. But it looks like year in, year out, after an administration goes out and a new one comes in, the FCC invites the previous leader to come and answer some questions. Over the years, will you say this has in any way impacted on the quality of leadership in Nigeria, particularly in the area of accountability?
Hello?
Did you get me?
Hello?
I can hear you. Did you get me?
Sorry. Can you recap?
Okay, so I'm talking about the operations of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission right now, particularly in the area of always inviting leaders or former leaders to account for how certain monies were spent. Some of them, you know, to the point of even charging them to court, like what we are seeing right now with Yahaya Bello. Would you say over the years, EFCC's actions in this regard has impacted in the quality of leadership in Nigeria, particularly in the area of accountability? Is the fear of the EFCC enough wisdom for leaders?
Thank you. Thank you very much. You see, personally, I will not say our leaders have learned that much, whether before or now, because it appeared what we usually have. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me very well?
Yes, I can hear you.
It appeared what we usually have is invitation, the drama all over the invitation. Then at the end of the day, we would hear that such a person has been granted bail. And at the end of the day, it will linger. Then at the end of the day, we may not even hear anything at the end of the day. We will not even know where the case will lead to. The question is, how many former governors have been indicted? How many governors have been prosecuted before court of relevant jurisdiction? And how many of them have they been convicted? How many convictions have they gotten with respect to majority of our leaders? So it appeared that say the agency is trying to accountability, yet their best is not enough. We need to see convictions of major people that have been, that have been genuinely accused of certain financial crimes against humanity, and let us see them behind the bars. So for me, it has not impacted so much on our leaders with respect to accountability. Thank you very much.
All right. Would you also, you said it hasn't impacted so much. Could it also be as a result of what some people might tag political witch hunt? So what do I mean? A former leader, maybe who belongs to a former party, an opposition party, and then eventually he leaves and there's a new party, and then I mean, due to political bad blood of some sort, it decides to, you know what, I need to punish this person. Could it be as a result of political witch hunt, or do you think there's more to this? Or the fact that they just feel the agency is a toothless bulldog?
We cannot rule out the fact that insider trading, among them, they do what they do. We cannot rule out the fact that they sometimes use these prosecuting and security agencies to witch hunt one another. And that is why when I was commenting earlier, I said those that have been genuinely accused of financial crimes against humanity, let's see them behind bars. We are tired of seeing cases where the court will have to strike out cases against persons in this caliber for want of diligent prosecution, or for want of evidence, or for what have you, or for whatever reason. Let them follow it up to the final, up to teeth, and let them always give a kind of report. Of course, I know that by law, any matter before the court is sub judice, agreed. But let there be a kind of communication between the EFCC and the public with respect to the development of every development in every case, so that the public will be carried along. But I bet you now, immediately after this whole Yahaya Bello saga, now he has appeared before the court. In some months now, we may not. Don't let me conclude yet, but we may not hear, just like the one in time past, we may not hear anything again with respect to his case. At the end of the day, maybe by the end of next year or 2026, we will just hear that, oh, he has been what? He has been discharged and acquitted.
I want to sort of read. Okay, please land.
I'm sorry. If at the end of the day, the court will still discharge that thing, let it be that the prosecuting agency has done everything they need to do to make sure that they bring all these people to justice. I'm not concluding that he has done it. I am not concluding that. But what I'm saying in essence is, even if they would discharge that, let it be that it is on record that the EFCC has done all what they need to do, not some lapses here and there, and the other party will be able to, you know,
All right, Qudus, if you can hear me, we seem to lost you for a moment, but let me go through some high-profile cases or political cases that the EFCC has tried over the years. The recent one we know is the Yahaya Bello case, where the EFCC recently arraigned Yahaya Bello, the former governor of Kogi State, on a 16-count charge of alleged corruption and money laundering. There's also the case of Lucky Igbenedion, where the EFCC secured a conviction against the former governor of Edo State for corruption and money laundering. Igbenedion was sentenced to prison, but the sentence was widely criticized for being too lenient. There's also the case of Peter Odili, where the EFCC investigated the former governor of Rivers State for corruption and money laundering. However, the case was stalled due to court ruling that barred the EFCC from investigating the former governor. And then we also know that of Okowa too, the former governor of Delta State. Now, you look at all of this, and you seem to say that this might just go as others. I mean, don't you, looking at this track record, for instance, won't you also want to say over the years, you want to give them some sort of slap on the wrist for maybe, to an extent, a job well done?
Thank you very much. Now, this is it. The question is, how many of these former governors, former ministers, and what have you, how many of them have they brought to court? How many of them have they secured convictions on? You know, like I said, it is not in their position, like the EFCC and all other prosecuting agencies, it is not in their position to pronounce anybody guilty. I admit that. It is also not in their position to decide for the courts. But what I'm saying in particular is that they need to do everything within their capacity to make sure that they leave no stone unturned on their part if whatever they do, the court still feels, in his opinion, that the person they have brought before the court is not guilty, of course, that is the final, that is where the final decision lies. Anybody that is not interested, I mean, that is not okay with the judgment, can appeal up to Supreme Court. But what we are saying is that majority of the people they brought, they usually take to court. We will hear what happens at the beginning. You may likely hear what happens at the middle, but you won't hear the rest. That is what we are saying.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Political influence?
That is why I said, yeah, no, that's why I said, let the EFCC, let them establish a kind of platform where they give the public reports on each of the developments in every case. Same way they will go outside there to post on, to post on IG and the likes when they get some people arrested. Let them also come, okay, this is the development in court today. Let people know what is going on in this case. Not that we may hear what happens at the beginning, we may hear what happens at the middle, but you will not hear the remaining. What I'm saying is they need to do more with respect to public relations. We should know what is happening. Not the whole Nigeria will not be in court. And most sometimes we also rely on the media to even know what happened in court. But the truth is, where they come out to say, oh, today in court, we were able to lead evidence with respect to this and this. Stay tuned for more information. At least people, people will be much interested to say, okay, they said at the last adjourned date, this is what happened. Not that they are comment on the likelihood of what may come out in court, which of course can be a contempt of court. No, that's not what we are saying. But let them keep the people abreast. The suspects, they will show their faces out. Let them also do the same thing in this regard. It is when at the point of arrest that we usually know. That's when the entire nation will hear about it. But once it gets to the end, we'll be likely saying in particular. Now, all right. Also, majority of the judgments which the courts has also now given against them in favor of the persons they are.
Qudus, if you can hear me.
The judgment have they appealed?
Qudus, we'll definitely pick up on that. I need you to please listen. We'll definitely pick up on that because there's also questions around the role of the judiciary too in all of this. But we need to go on a break.
All right.
When we return, I would definitely pick up on that. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Of course, this is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. And we are discussing the EFCC versus the former Kogi State Governor, Yahaya Bello. I still have my guest with me. Qudus Alalafia is a legal practitioner. Thank you for staying with me, Qudus. Now, let's also look at, before we went on that break, we were trying to sort of x-ray some of the cases that the EFCC has successfully prosecuted to the amount of cases that maybe they were not able to see to the end, and also given the general perception thereof. But many would want to also look at, in terms of leadership structure of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, maybe to a certain extent, it could impact on the quality of their operation. One of such is the appointment of its head. So my question is, how free or how independent is the EFCC from political influence? You are laughing.
You see,
is it independent at all?
That's
Qudus, are you? Qudus, are you there? Can you hear me? We, of course, are having a bit of connectivity issues there with Qudus. Qudus, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Yes, I can hear you very well, loud and clear.
Okay.
Oh, thank you very much. I said, we will not only look at the appointment of the heads of all the security agencies, we will also look at the heads of courts. We will also look at heads of our electoral umpire. You see, these agencies or this set of authorities that I've mentioned, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
I can hear
Hello?
you, Qudus.
Can you hear me now? All right, thank you very much. Now, this set of authorities that I've mentioned, I am of the opinion that there should be some certain non-partisan set of people we can call the technocrats. People we can call the technocrats, people who has understanding, who has no political affiliation whatsoever. Let them be the one to appoint these heads. Now, the president of our country, of course, is a card-carrying member of a political party. Sometimes the Attorney General of the Federation, who also doubles as the Minister of as Minister of Justice, sometimes may or may not, depending on how the president feels, may be a card-carrying member of a political party, or may at one point or the other be affiliated. And you know that majority of all the prosecuting agencies are under the control of the Ministry of Justice. They are also under the control of the president. Now, the question is this. If I am the president and I feel that you offend me, do I have the power to set the law against you? The answer is yes. So I believe that their appointments and removal should be independent, so to say, not the agency itself. The agency, aside from being independent, the heads of our courts, aside from being independent, let also the appointment has no role to do with any of the two arms of government, be it the executive or the legislature. That is what I believe in. Why? Because the situation we have in Nigeria, our leaders do not know when to separate politics from governance. They do not know, I repeat, when to separate politics.
I would like you to dig deep on what exactly you mean. Politics from governance, not being able to separate it by our leaders. What exactly are you inching at?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, politics, when we talk about politics, we're talking about your personal interest, your selfish interest. That's politics. You look at what is good for you. You look at what works for you. But when we are talking about governance, we look at what is best for the masses. We look at what is best for the general populace. Not just you, not just your group, not just your clan. That's politics. But when we are talking about governance, we are talking about things that affect everybody generally. Because if I am let's assume I am an EFCC official, I'm a fine officer, everybody knows me, and I have once, okay, let's even assume the person presently prosecuting let's say somebody, of course, Yahaya Bello will definitely have IPO in charge of this case. They call them IO. Now, if the IO is dutiful, has done everything he needs to do, he doesn't collect anything and everything, he has done his work perfectly, and the other party feels like, oh, I'm not too comfortable with the way he's handling my matter. Or at one point or the other, even if he has done, if the other party doesn't feel like, okay, I don't have any issue against you. If at the end of the day, any of these accused persons find themselves up there, as the president, and I am the next in line to become the chairman, or I am most qualified, let me put it that way. But the other party who is now the president feels like, no, my memory with you is still there. I don't like your face. Get out. I have to pick someone else. That's politics. And that is what I'm saying. That let them severe. There are some appointments that the president does not need to make.
Can you be specific with some of those appointments?
Yes. One, the appointment of the INEC chairman. I do not believe the president should sanction it. I do not believe that the president will have to be the one to appoint the CJN.
But can he recommend some of this? So. Can he recommend people? Can he? I mean, which of course is what we see largely.
I'm even saying, let them wash their hands off their appointments. Let them not have anything to do with
whether in form of recommendation, nothing at all.
None at all. None at all. Because I am saying this, you see, the idea of separation of power and checks and balances, the people that promulgated it, that propounded it, they wanted justice. And they wanted us to put ourselves at checks so that there will not be excessive power somewhere. But I am now saying that I didn't think those people are even alive today. They would have said their theory is no longer applicable, perhaps to Nigeria. That when it comes to issue of this appointment of IGP, the Director General of this and that has to do with prosecuting the people. Because by the time you remove their control and everything over, if you do not have hands in my appointment, if you are before me, then I have not, I should treat you fairly based on the fact and evidence and circumstances of this case before me. So where our leaders cannot divide or separate or identify that this is a time for governance and this is a time for politics, that is where the issue is. And that is why I'm saying that at one point or the other, the failure of EFCC to prosecute diligently or to even go on appeal or to successfully secure conviction of certain set of people at one point or the other has political interference.
Okay, let me...
And that is why, let me wrap it with this. That is why, aside from Mrs. Farida Waziri, if I'm not mistaken, aside from her, I think I've not seen anybody, any one of the past chairman, or maybe Balam Nouri, but maybe, from Ibrahim Lamode down to the last one, you will see that they do not live gloriously. It will be from one accusation to other, then they take them to, what do you call it, orderly room trial, and at the end of the day, from there, they go into oblivion.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we definitely come back, we will wrap up on this. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This, of course, is still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and we still are discussing the EFCC versus the former Kogi State Governor, Yahaya Bello. I still have my guest with me, legal practitioner, Qudus Alalafia. Thank you for staying with me. Now, before I let you go and we wrap up, is the judiciary helping matters in all of this? Even though we know that there's a new sheriff in town as the CJN, but over the years, would you say that the judiciary has helped sort of uphold public accountability, particularly from political leaders?
I would rather say it is neither here nor there.
Is it because you are part of the system? You are also a lawyer yourself.
I'm coming. I don't worry. Yeah, you see, based on my earlier submissions, that the system is there. However, the action of the system is not just the action of one organ. It is the combination, the collective action of everybody coming together that to produce a product. When we assess that product and we feel like, oh, this product is not enough or is insufficient, then we blame the system. Now, what I am trying to say in essence is from the executive legislature to the judiciary, down to our prosecuting agencies and everybody, let everybody sit tight. You see, majority of our judges, the unfortunate thing is that you can only see them, but they cannot be heard. What I'm trying to say is that they cannot come into the air to say, oh, this is my opinion about this. They can only speak through their judgments. And when they speak through their judgments, their judgment is to be based on fact and evidence before them. I am not saying that, of course, we do not have the corrupt ones among them. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that, you see, as a lawyer, when you tighten your work very well, you tighten it both left, right, and center, you tighten the hands of the judge that even want to give the judgment in such a manner that such a person will not have any choice whatsoever other than to toe the line of reasoning. Now, listen, the ones that defy this thing are usually very easy to identify. So what I'm saying in essence is let everybody, the judiciary, executive, legislature, let everybody sit tight and let's respect the system we are meant to protect. Thank you very much.
All right, Qudus, thank you so much. Qudus Alalafia is a legal practitioner, and of course, he has been helping us dissect today's topic. Once again, thank you for your time on the program. All right, and on that note, I say thank you for watching. In case you missed out, there will be a repeat broadcast later tonight. You can also catch up on our YouTube platform. That's News Central TV. Follow us across social media with the same name. You can follow me personally at Dakbo, at Digboye, across social media. Until I come your way tomorrow, good night.